Hello everyone, True Zero Emissions here. Okay, something I'm really excited to share with you, and I've been trying to see this in my imagination, and sometimes it can be difficult to see something that we are trying to formulate a concept of in terms of like shape and color and texture and coherence, really, just the actual what is it? What does it do? How does it work? How does it interact with the parts around it? What are the parts, right? I'll just get right to this. So what I'm thinking of is, in reference to the videos we just made recently, and we're talking about, and one of them still uploading right now, this Bloch wall idea, that where we move the Bloch wall, right? And when it moves, by having another magnetic field near it, right? So if these two magnets, this is a magnet and this is a magnet, and they're together, where's the Bloch wall? Where's the zero? Where's the neutral point where there's no north or no south? It's if these two magnets are together and they're both the same exact magnet and same dimension, same strength, same everything, and they're together, then I think the Bloch wall would be right here where they touch together, right? That will be the zero area. And then if we separate them, then this becomes north and this becomes south. So north, south, right? North, south coming together. When they touch, it's not a north or a south. They cancel each other out, and it's a window for infinite energy to flow through from the 0-point field, right? From the Dirac holes, right? Particle physics. Remember, Thomas Bearden tells us, study particle physics and electrodynamics. Particle physics is not the final word, and electrodynamics is not the final word. In fact, there is no final word. In fact, the only final word is nature's final word. Nature is the final word, not humans, not any intelligent being, even if they're hundreds of thousands of years older than us. I believe they are still studying nature. They're still studying nature. Everyone is. Everyone in the universe is studying nature. Nature's the ultimate teacher, okay? Now, here's what I'm thinking. I'm so excited to share this with you. I can't believe I'm already at 2 minutes into the video, and I haven't said this yet. I was thinking about something that I keep hearing. I keep hearing this. We can do this with coils. We can do this with coils. People say we can do this with coils, but I can't imagine how to do it with coils, and I just got an idea. Now, I don't know if this is what people mean when they say you can do this with coils. I don't know if this is what they mean, because they don't say. Or if they do, I can't formulate an image. I can't formulate an image of what they mean. I just thought of this, though, and it made me glad that people that say that have left it as simply as you can do this with coils, because I always thought they meant L1, L2, Tesla coil, right? Primary, secondary coil, right? And I'm like, I don't know anything about those. I mean, I've read about them. I've experimented with them. I still don't understand, I think, most of what people are talking about when I watch videos on Tesla coils. But with that said, I'm looking at this magnet, and I'm thinking to myself, what if I have one magnet, right? And this can be a magnet, or it can be a ferrous metal, which a magnet can stick to, but it's not polarized, right? So it's not a magnet, but it's just a ferrous metal. Or it can be a magnet. So first, let's say it's a magnet. And I'm thinking, how can I create a strong magnetic field on one side, or both sides, but we'll start with one side. How can I create a strong magnetic field on one side of the magnet? So in place of this, so instead of having this over here and interrupting the field, or spinning a magnet past this, and having the Bloch wall move, instead of that, what if I just have a coil here that it makes a strong electromagnet, right? Like a car alternator works. A car alternator, those powerful magnets inside there, it's an electromagnet. It's electricity being sent into the coils inside the alternator that make those the north-south, and then that passes by a ferrous iron wrapped with copper windings, right? And the north-south passes by those, and that's how we get our AC, and then we switch that to DC. But I think it's still pulsing DC going into the lead-acid battery, right? I don't think there's any capacitors in there. I think we're pulsing into the 12-volt battery, and I think that's why it lasts so long, if I say it that way, right? So long as in lasting years instead of just a few months or something. But that's just my own thoughts and my own imagination. Now I'm thinking, imagine coil here, electromagnet. And I don't know if it needs to be north or south or how, I don't know. Okay, well, let's see. If this is north on the magnet, if this is a magnet and this is north and this is south, if this is north, then would I want the electromagnet to be north or south? I don't know. That's a good question, right? That I might have to test both. I might have to test making a strong south magnet, south pole, which I don't know if that's the way it's wound or it's the way the coil's connected. I'm not sure how I get north and south, but I would just test different things. I would test connecting it to the battery in 2 different ways, right? The coil to a battery, and I'm not sure if it has to be an AC going into the coil or DC going into the coil to make that magnet. I don't know at this point in time, but I can find out, right? I can test both too, as well. And I'm not saying anybody should do this. I'm just sharing with you my thought experiment, which I hope to evolve and refine into an actual experiment, right? Where I can charge a battery with my coil here. Now, I haven't got to that coil yet. Right now, we're going to talk about the electromagnet moving the Bloch wall. So if this is a magnet, north and south, right? And I have an electromagnet on this side, a very powerful one. And that, when it pulses, when I send a pulse to it, it causes this Bloch wall to move, or to move. I don't know if it matters which way it moves. What if it goes both ways? What if it goes this way and then this way? Wouldn't that be good? If it could pull it both ways. So maybe I have a coil on each side of the magnet, right? A coil on this side of the magnet and a coil on this side of the magnet. And then it pulses, like it goes boom, boom. And I would think a square wave would be ideal. I would think a square wave would be ideal because it hits really hard, right? So now I don't know if I can make an electromagnet at this moment, because I have to research this again. I know I've already read this 1,000 or several thousand times, but I have to read things over and over again because I don't know, I just don't retain things that well. I'm reading so much new stuff that the old stuff just kind of blends into everything else in the background, right? The cosmic energy, the background radiation, the background infinite energy fields. So it's being recycled back into the universe, powering the 0-point field, right? Okay, so here we have, to begin with, we could just have a coil here, an electromagnet, and I want to move that Bloch wall. Now, as I progress and want to make it more efficient, I imagine having a coil on each side, so one coil here, that alternate to pull that Bloch wall as far as we can this way, and then as far as we can this way, right? So that might mean the electromagnet coils on the ends of the magnet, they might need to be north, south. So if the magnet's north and south, if the magnet is north and south, then these coils can switch from north, which is to match this, south to match this, and then reverse. So then this magnet becomes south and this one becomes north, and then it switches back to north, south, and then south, north, north, south, south, north, and it pulses, and it's pulling that Bloch wall. And how am I going to know what the Bloch wall is doing? With my meter. I'm going to follow it. So when I turn the electromagnet on, I'm going to find, and it's staying on. It's a constant magnetic field. It's not pulsing at this point, right? Or if it is, it's continuously pulsing, so it's making a constant. So I don't know if I want a constant, field or a pulsing field going in. I don't know, but I'll have to test all these things. But I think what I want is for that Bloch wall to go as far as we can this way, and then as far as we can this way, or at least this way, and then back to here, this way, back to here, this way, back to here. And just, these are some ideas I have, right? I'm so excited about this. I am just so excited about this. And I think it's been done before in many different ways, and I think it can continue to be done in endless new ways. Yeah, it's like the engine. How many internal combustion engines are there? Now, sure, some people might say, if you want to make your own internal combustion engine, someone could say, well, there's already an internal combustion engine. It's already been invented, so what's the point of making another one? Well, if someone said that back when Ford started, then there would be no more new car companies. But look, all these new car companies have all their own, they're all using internal combustion engines, but everything's a little bit different, just a little bit, right? And that's what we're talking about here. To me, it makes no sense to keep everything secret. No one knows what's going on. No one knows anything about the theories and how things work. And then people come out with these free energy systems, which really is just another way of saying a more efficient energy system which works in harmony with the infinite will works of nature. That's what we're really talking about here. Nature is infinite energy. We just use the words free energy because it's what people recognize as a more efficient system. It doesn't mean it doesn't cost anything. We all know the free energy of solar costs the price of the solar panels, right? just like this system costs the price of the materials. So, but what we're talking about is how can we increase efficiency? And that's what I'm interested in. How can I charge my scooter battery while I'm riding my scooter so that so I don't have to run out of charge and then walk my scooter home, right? Which I've had to do many times. I've walked over 100 miles on my scooter, and that's not the easiest thing to do. And I wouldn't want anyone to have to do that. I know we all like to get exercise, but that's better when it's by choice and not by necessity, right? Okay, everyone, so True Zero Emissions signing off. I'm really happy to have been able to share this with you, and please share your ideas about how to move that Bloch wall in the most efficient manner possible. Is it a square wave? Can AC going into a coil make a north or a south electromagnet? Does it have to be DC? Does it have to be AC? Can it be both? Can it be AC and DC? Just like, who did that? Who did AC and DC? John Searle. He had, I think, very low power AC going into the Searle effect generator, I think it's called, which is just rotating magnets. That thing makes a force field around it. Now, here's my most recent thoughts on that. I would like to have a force field around my scooter that protects me from inertia, right? It's like inertia cancellation. So I don't think my first step will be to make the scooter levitate. It'll be to let the scooter ride on the ground. That's fine. We can all be on the ground. But what we can have is a force field around us and the Searle effect generator, which is just rotating magnets. That's all it is. Rotate magnets. So you have magnets spinning, and the magnets are spinning like this. So they're spinning two ways. They're spinning in a circle, and they're spinning like this. So I could probably take, as an experiment, I could probably get like 10 electric motors, right? That are spinning each motor is spinning at 100,000 RPMs, right? Inside. And then I take all those motors and I spin those, so they're all connected together on like a disc, right? And then I spin that at whatever RPMs I can. I don't know how many RPMs we'd need here, but I'll spin it at some RPMs and see what happens. See if the weight of this whole system that I'm talking about, of those motors and the plate spinning the motors, if that becomes lighter, heavier. Spin the motors in the opposite direction. That's another one. Spin, direction, and polarity have a lot to do with one another. Don't forget, our galaxy is polarized, right? We have, I'm trying to remember the voltage. Our galaxy is polarized. There's a plus and a minus, or a north and a south. It's like 100,000. I can't remember the number. It's like 100,000 million volts or something like that. It's super big at the number at the poles of our galaxy. At the pole, no, our galaxy, hang on, I got this, no, bigger than that. I'm talking about, yeah, at the center of our galaxy is a black hole. At the center of our galaxy is a black hole, and that black hole at the poles is like 1,000 trillion volts. I don't know, it's super high voltage, right? And there's a book called Gravity's Engines, right? And it's talking about black holes. I mean, everything's connected. That's the thing. Everything's connected, but we have to connect it. School may not connect it for us. School might teach us all the parts, and not all the parts, just the parts they think about so far, that we've thought about so far, right? And there's going to be some new stuff that's always coming, right? Because school's always changing and evolving. But school gets a lot of its material from you, believe it or not. You're the source of new material, because we're always bringing something new to our lives. We're just so curious about nature, and nature is going to give us an endless supply of new material, of infinite inevitabilities. That's nature. Okay, everyone. True Zero Emission signing off. Until next time, take care, everybody. Bye. Oh, did I finish? Okay, let me just wrap this up with this. Okay, we're moving the Bloch wall, right? I can't make any assumptions here. I don't want to assume you know the whole part of this. Once that Bloch wall is moving with our electromagnet coils, the coils will be, the magnet will still be wrapped with copper wire. And I think magnet wire probably would be most efficient, but Donald Lee Smith was, I think, using just regular, I don't know if it was 10 gauge or 12 gauge wire. I don't know what gauge it was, but he had regular copper wire. So wrapping the magnet with copper wire, and then when that Bloch wall is moving, whether it be with regular magnets like neodymium or just permanent magnets of some kind passing this, or whether it be interrupting the field between a magnet and this magnet interacting together, that Bloch wall has to be moving though, right? So this has to interact with something. It has to be some kind of magnetic field here on one side or both sides, right? Helping that Bloch wall move. But our coil that we wrap around the magnet That's the one that's going to go into, I think, I'm going to test it this way, a full wave bridge rectifier, and then into a voltmeter to see what it's doing. I can go right off the wires too and just see if AC is coming out of there and see how much AC is coming out of there. Then connect those wires to a load and see how much current I get. How much current am I getting out of this? Don was getting out of his system, but remember, Don was a master of efficiency, and I mean extreme efficiency. And Donald Smith was also a teacher, so he was very meticulous in his notes. I highly recommend studying every word he ever wrote, ever thought about, and ever shared in any video, lecture, anything he ever said or wrote, anything. Study everything. And then share that research, in videos. I would recommend sharing that, right? Because this is how we move forward. So, and we don't have to be worried about sharing ideas, because let's say you invent something and then you come out with your invention. If we don't understand the theory of it, I think it'll be hard for people to grasp how something works, right? Because right now we're looking for that certain limit of efficiency. Otherwise they say, oh, well, is it too good to be true? But really, too good to be true, completely irrelevant when it comes to energy systems, because otherwise nature's too good to be true, and it's not too good to be true. Nature is true, very true, right? And nature's the most efficient, infinite engine that we are not yet completely aware of. We're learning about it, right? I don't think there's an absolute awareness of nature. I don't think there's an absolute awareness, except for nature itself. I think nature's aware of its own efficiency, because it does what it needs to do. Like Leonardo da Vinci said, nature always takes the most efficient means to achieve what she needs to do, right? So these coils, measuring the energy coming off the coils, the magnets, when that Bloch wall's moving, energy's going into the coils that we wrap around, when I wrap around the magnet, and that's where I want to measure that energy. And Don Smith said he was getting 1,000 volts, I think, at 40 amps. That's a lot of energy. Now remember, he was a master of this. That's 40,000 watts approximately, right? Amps times volts equals watts. I'll be happy if I get like 200 watts, 100 watts, even 25 watts. I'll be happy with 25 watts. But if I can get like 100 watts or 200 watts, I'll be so happy. But please do share your experiments on it's called, Donald Smith called it the rotating separator coil. And I'm just so excited about this. I just can't wait to continue to learn and continue to experiment and continue to share my thoughts with you, my thoughts of my imagination. True Zero Emission signing off, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.